Hello, Internet. Welcome back to our Refugee series. In the last episode, we raised our fabrication up to level 5 so that we can start work on a forge. And yeah, we did some vehicle work, which is fine, but we mostly focused on reading our books. Talked a little bit about Logan Paul, which is always great. So I think we do need to sleep, so we'll do that. And I want to be clear, I have not done forging since the proficiency changes. So, although we're going to work on a forge, I suspect it's going to take us a very long time to do anything with it. I don't know how hard it is, I don't know how complicated it is, but I suspect it's going to be a huge time sink. And I'm getting a little nervous because we're about a week into the game now. We're going to start seeing more monster evolutions, and we're not very well equipped. We have the trench coat and we have the vest, and that's about all we've really got going for us. Excuse me, it's a duster. Sorry. Harry Dresden fans will like the duster. We have the dragon skin vest. We do have Kevlar somewhere as well, but our legs are pretty vulnerable. These hard leg guards are on their way out, and they are repaired with tailoring tools, which is not great because we don't have tailoring skill. And again, proficiencies make that a little bit difficult. Let's eat something, drink something, and head off to bed. Did we make any extra food? This is not... No, I would like to see this tile. No, don't show me... Why are you showing me food? Show me the tile I'm standing on. There just is no food here, I guess. It looks like those rotten eggs rotted away to nothing, so that's nice. Didn't have to actually clean them up. Probably doesn't smell too great in our house at the moment, but that's okay. Rotten food. Eat these biscuits before they go bad. We'll use that to sate our hunger. And then we did make some clean water. There's no water on our water tile. Water? There's no water? I know I made a gallon jug of water. I know I did. Did I drop it on my unsorted pile? I did. Go ahead and sort this out. Oh, catch in my throat. Had a sore throat for a few days. Don't know why. You know, global pandemic makes me a little concerned about that, but you know, I haven't been feeling any other symptoms. I haven't really been coughing. It's just been a kind of scratchy throat. So I think it's probably just... Oh, and you know what? The other day I was smoking and I inhaled some ash, and that really hurt my throat. And I bet that's why. And I didn't even think about that until just now. Anyway, since we're going to be working on the forge, which is pretty boring, tedious work, we're going to go out and make our... Oh, we needed metal to make a homewrecker so we could smash some boulders. That's what I was going to do. That's why I have a baseball bat in my hands. So we'll do that, and then we'll go out. And since we're going to be doing that, and that's pretty boring, I thought we would just go over a big list of my random questions and just run through a whole bunch of them to keep conversation going. Some days I just don't have anything to talk about, and some days my depression gets the best of me. And on those days, it's easier to use something like the random questions as a crutch rather than letting things spiral and talking about how sad I am. I hate to bring it up again, but I have a psych appointment tomorrow, and I'm a little uncomfortable about it. So I'm spiraling just a smidge mentally. Probably nothing will come of it. Probably it will mean nothing to my psych or anything like that. You know, just another day and all that. But for me, is this a sunflower, by the way? What is this? This is a bird bath. I see. You're probably not metal. Probably like... what would I guess this would be? Do we have porcelain? It's rebar and rock. Okay, so it was a concrete thing. Smash the stove for chunks of steel. Really, only one chunk of steel. Smash the fridge and the sink as well. And just haul it on the one pile. Maybe there's more steel. 2 chunks. How many do I need for the homewrecker? Probably a lot more. I need 4. Looking through the house for other metal furniture. Doesn't really look to be any. We'll go next door, smash that stove as well. We could disassemble the stove, but I don't think disassembling would give us chunks. I think it would just give us sheet metal. Didn't even get... Oh, we did get 2 chunks. Okay, so we'll go back and make a homewrecker. Let's get ourselves a random question. Again, these questions are pulled from the internet. Many of them are stupid and not very good at all. And that's another reason we're going to do scattershot and just go over a bunch of them because... You know, frankly, a lot of them are dumb and don't merit more than a second or two in response. So let's get a question. Who has zero filter between their brain and mouth? I do. We talk about that all the time. I don't have a filter. I just say whatever pops into my head, which often makes people uncomfortable, and sometimes is I overshare, and then people get very very nervous, even when they're my friend, even when it's someone who likes me. I do tend to overshare. I often complain about things. It just comes out of my mouth without me really, I don't intend to mean anything by it, but I just say something. I was talking to Korg yesterday. He's a developer for the Cataclysm, for Cataclysm Dark Days Ahead. He's doing a AMA this weekend, which if I don't know when this video will go up, but hey, if you're interested, Korg is going to be streaming a kind of Ask Me Anything as a developer of Cataclysm. I will put a link in, maybe not this description. You can ask around on Discord if you can't find it. It is posted. It's a sticky post on the Cataclysm subreddit. And then when I do the experimental Cataclysm series this week, I will put a link in that description. But I will probably forget to put one in this description, so sorry about that. But if you're interested, you should look into that, because he's going to be doing like an AMA, which is pretty neat. Do both the kiln and the forge require... Okay, get rid of the stamina. Do they both require rocks, right? 40 rocks for that, and then the forge also 40 rocks. Seems like just an arbitrary number somebody picked, but that's fine. We're going to need a lot of rocks, so we're going to go back into the woods for boulders. So I was talking to Korg, and historically I apparently have complained about things that he's done. I mostly, like, I don't know, Korg and we're not friends. We don't talk that much exactly, but we're friendly. I like the guy, he's a nice dude, and he's obviously done a lot for the project. But I guess historically I have complained about some of the work that he's done, which I don't even remember doing. I like basically everything he's done. He made the new stomach contents system, which I really like. The way it is now, I know a lot of people have a problem with it, but I like it. He made Magicalism, which is not my cup of tea. I did complain about Magicalism when it was first released. I had a lot of problems with that. But, like, he does good work. But because I have no filter, I guess previously I've said maybe some nasty stuff to him. I don't remember saying it. I don't usually crap on people or anything. But that's an example of me not having a filter, having an impact on someone else, which is... kind of made me feel bad, frankly. So there's that. Let's get a different question. What's the silliest thing you've seen someone get upset about? Silly things. I don't know. Oh, you know what springs to mind? I don't have a great example, for the most part. I'm not around people who do silly things. I'm not really around people anymore. But when I was a teenager, I was on a trip with some friends, and there was an older guy. He was kind of a chaperone, and my friend, we were getting a meal as like a group in a cafeteria with other people. We were doing volunteer work, so it was a lot of volunteers in this area, and my friend fell and dropped his tray of food. One of the older males who was accompanying us thought that he did it on purpose. He thought he had intentionally done a pratfall and dropped his tray to be funny, because I guess people laughed about it, and he just shrugged it off, joked it off. And this older guy he took us outside and was yelling at us and cursing at us, this was on a Christian trip, and his daughters were there, and he's just swearing and cursing out some teenagers. And it's this silly little thing of a kid stumbling, and maybe he did it on purpose. I have no idea. I don't think he did, but maybe he did. And even if he did do it on purpose, even if he was an idiot teenager who, thought he was funny, even in that situation, you're supposed to be the Christian leader of our little group, and you're cursing out a bunch of kids in a parking lot, cursing in front of your children, swearing at random kids that you're supposed to be responsible for. And I told him, I was like, it's kind of disgusting that you're out here swearing at us in front of your kids, just because you think, even if, it was just such an absurd reaction to, and don't get me wrong, that guy had a lot of issues, some some issues with his brain chemistry. So maybe it was just that, but I just remember like it was such an overblown reaction to something that was so simple. And like, I don't know, kids would do that in high school. Like when you would take your tray up to turn in your tray at lunch, some kids would like lean down and drop their tray a few inches on the ground, because whenever someone dropped the tray, the whole cafeteria would be like, "Oh," stupid teenagers. So I don't know, maybe he did it on purpose, but that was such a unreasonable reaction to that. We're gonna need a hammer, and we're gonna need our shovel. Shovel's going to be problematic. We don't need the home wrecker anymore. So we will be able to wield the shovel. I mean, I guess we could just haul it outside if we didn't have space. Take the shovel. What was the... we need a hammer. Hammer, hammer, hammer. Stop. Hammer time. All right, let's build ourselves a rock forge. This will take 2 hours. So yeah, that was just an unreasonable reaction to kind of a silly thing. I totally get being frustrated with young men. I totally get, that he had some brain chemistry issues that may have been, contributing to his reaction. But I just remember thinking like, well, like we were teenagers. His youngest daughter was probably like 13 at the time. And here her dad is like screaming at, some kids. And it was just so... Oh, so uncomfortable. So apparently the kiln and the rock forge have the same sprite, both of which appear to be an indoor brick fireplace. So I wouldn't hate that they have the same sprite, but it really shouldn't be what looks like an indoor fireplace. That looks a bit odd. Not that the kiln in Undead People is any better. It just looks like a dirt mound with like a hole in it. So I don't know. So we've got that. We're going to need a lot of metal for fabricating our tools. We're also going to need clay to make a crucible. So, I mean, what do we even want to do with this forge? We want to make a spear. We want to make this steel spear, probably. Do I have... I do. Okay. Would take a day and 16 hours to complete. Yeah, so that would be the lack of proficiency, unfortunately. We're going to need an anvil, a chisel, and a crucible. Oh, and tongs. All of that is pretty attainable, but that is also going to take time. In fact, I bet forging even something simple like the chisel, will probably take a... Oh, that's not even the right chisel. Oh, yeah, okay, it's just a chiseling quality. Yeah, that'll be fine. Even just the chisel will take 5 hours. Which, I mean, I guess... I don't know. If you were an experienced blacksmith, it would probably take you like 20 minutes to make a chisel. Well, and, I guess it depends. Are we counting, like, grinding and all that stuff, too? It wouldn't take you 5 hours is the point. But obviously, as an inexperienced person who's never done this before, 5 hours sounds perfectly reasonable. It's just more time than I want to spend making a chisel, basically. So the anvil has to come first, and the crucible will have to come first. So let's go dig some holes and get ourselves some clay. See if we can find ourselves another question to talk about. What animal or plant do you think should be renamed? I don't know. We're going to skip that one. What was the best thing that happened to you today? Best thing that happened to me today. Well, I woke up, so I'm not dead. So that's always well, it's debatable whether that's a positive or not, but let's just pretend that for the time being, that is a good thing. So you have to dig a deep pit, right, in order to get clay? Am I remembering that right? Dig a deep pit? Oh, that's taking a long time. I mean, we are digging a hole by hand. Oh my god, that took hours. Okay. No clay. Oh, that sucks. No, don't step into the pit. No clay, huh? Okay. So there's two ways to get clay in Cataclysm. Number one way is to find a clay deposit somewhere and harvest clay from it using the construction menu. The alternative way, which is using actual clay deposits, you will get a significant amount of clay. The other way to get very small amounts is to dig pits in the game until you get a small amount of clay. Clay was added as a random resource that will occasionally come up when you dig a pit. So that's usually what I would do in this situation. There are a few locations in the game that spawn clay, but the amount of clay they give you is such a tiny amount that it's almost never practical to do that. And no one ever added it to the spawns at hardware stores. So although clay does have some uses, it's not really your standard hardware. Like, I doubt if I went out to my hardware store, I don't think that they would have it in real life. So I don't hate that. The only real place to find clay in significant amounts is a pottery studio, and pottery studios are spawned as craft shops. So unless we have a craft shop nearby, not really anywhere we can get to because of that ruined tower. So we're going to have to dig pits, which obviously is very slow. I've dug pits by hand, and it made me want to kill myself. So pits are terrible. Digging is terrible. Terrible. I also have done some post hole digging, which was equally awful. We'll eat and drink. We will dig through the night, I think. There's really nothing to prevent us from doing so. I don't think it's something that necessarily requires a lot of light, although it would certainly make things easier in real life. Let's make some sandwiches, I think, and have ourselves a proper meal. Dump a plank in the old fire. Start a fire. What was my question? Best thing that happened to you today? Well, I got the car squared away. Like I said in the last episode, I changed my headlight, which it was really a relief to get that out of the way. I was afraid I wouldn't be able to do it. I knew previously, like I said, I got my hand cut up some trying to change it before I took out the whole like assembly, like the whole what do you call it, like headlight assembly or headlight housing or whatever. So I was a little worried I wouldn't be able to do that. So getting that out of the way, that was probably the best thing. There is a sense of accomplishment that comes from doing stuff around the house. Like I said, I put in my new headlight and I filled my tire with air. Both are very simple things, but I am someone who often gets bogged down with my depression and finds it very difficult to do even simple things. So even simply doing that and accomplishing that is a victory. So I was happy to get that out of the way. I feel a lot better now that I've done it. Let's try digging a series of small pits because it didn't take as long. And we'll just see if... Oh, it's raining as well. All we got was soil too. I really don't want to be out in the rain. I don't want to be in the rain. We're going to get wet, which will make us miserable. Let's just go in and read. We'll go in and read. Obviously, you know, I don't play like a real character most of the time, but I would not go out and dig pits in the rain. Obviously, I would just be miserable the whole time. So instead, we'll just sit around the house and read for a bit. And we should get tired before too much longer. So what do we want to read? Probably the first aid book. Do we have any... I don't need more fab. We'll level fab as we work on our blacksmithing stuff. Don't really need lock picking. Cooking doesn't matter that much. We could raise rifles. Could raise first aid. Survival. Not super valuable. Athletics. Oh, that's like the swimming skill now. No. Just no. It'd be nice if that increased your stamina in some capacity, but... And that's really all we got, huh? We have chemistry, which I also don't really care about. Let's read the first aid book, because that gives us something that is actual applicable benefit now, so that next time we bandage our wounds or whatever, it will give us an immediate return on this investment, whereas the other things are less relevant. Like food handling is not that big of a deal, not that useful. I really wish we had any tailoring books. We have no tailoring books. That's the main thing we're missing right now. And more electronics books wouldn't hurt either. Getting electronics to 5 or 6 would be nice, but... All right, first aid it is. So we'll just read in the dim light here until we get tired. Best thing I did today? I mean, that's really it. Being able to accomplish some things on my to-do list is always a rewarding feeling, but I'm not feeling super great today. I'm depressed. Once I have my appointment with my psych tomorrow, I will feel a lot better, I think, over the days that follow. The other thing is that I've gotten some recording done. We have returned to daily videos on the channel, which is something I really wanted to strive to get going again. So that is a victory in and of itself as well. The fact that I'm recording and not just so miserable that I can't function as a human being, that is a good step. And I know that that probably sounds very simple to people on the outside, but for me, even accomplishing simple things can often be a hardship. So for me, the fact that I did some work around the house, took care of my car, and am taking care of my responsibilities for like YouTube content, those are victories. So those are probably the best things I've done today. It looks like the sun is up and the rain stopped. So we're going to unfortunately burn most of the day by sleeping. We'll just go to bed with our shovel. Our lovely shovel. When is censorship warranted? I'm not a fan of censorship. I believe that. So when I hear that, my brain goes to creatives, people like me, people who write, people who draw, people who create art. And in that regard, I think censorship is never warranted. I think that if you want to censor something that is art or writing or something like that, the only means of censorship you should apply is to prevent a certain audience from viewing it. So not even that. Specifically what I mean is, like, let's say I write a story and my story has really graphic violence or a really sexual scene or something like that. The only kind of censorship that should be applied to that work is to prevent, let's say, children from reading that book. So the ESRB putting a rating on something, that sort of stuff is a form of censorship by preventing a audience from trying to view that. That is the only one I get behind. If you are speaking from a political perspective, I don't believe in censorship. People should be able to express whatever they want. Creatives should be able to write whatever they want. It doesn't matter what they're writing. You don't have a right to censor them, in my opinion. All you can do is exert your own control over the area you can control. So like if you're a principal and you don't want a book in your school because it is upsetting or graphic or something like that, you can exert that form of censorship over your small area of control. But outside of that, you should have no authority. Once people start saying like when Harry Potter came out, I was involved in the church, and there were a lot of people who said like, we should stop this from being available in schools. And what I thought was, you have every right to tell your own children not to read that book. You have every right to think, oh no, magic, oh, that clashes with Christianity, or whatever their reasoning was. You have every right to do that inside of your own domain, which is your children and your household and things like that. But the moment you step outside of that and you say, we're going to tell the bookstores they can't publish this, or they can't sell this, we're going to tell the schools not to put it in their schools, at that point you're overstepping your domain, and I think that that's inappropriate and disrespectful. So I guess I am pro censorship in a very, very small way. You can interpret that however you want, but I believe that you really should never try to stop people from creating what they want. Really, I cannot make this. Oh, okay, or nearby fire. All I saw was kiln, and I was like, are you telling me I can't make the freaking crucible? So we need water. We'll just go inside. Give me the clay. We'll go inside and start a fire, and we should have everything we need right here to make the crucible, which will probably take a while. Crucible. This is one of those recipes that would be nice to have kind of an AFK functionality. It would be nice to, because the main thing, like shaping the crucible and all that, very easy, not very time consuming at all. The main time consumption is heating this and firing it. So it would be nice if we could craft an intermediate object that's like a, clay crucible, temp hardening or something like that. And then over time, it would automatically convert to the fully fired crucible. But unfortunately, the way Cataclysm is, we actually have to do that all manually. We are out of water as well, actually. So let's grab this gallon jug. And, you know what? We will take both. We'll fill 2-gallon jugs with water. We're very hot as well, which is an issue. Take off the duster. That should kill a lot of that. So I'm not really a fan of censorship. I believe that certain people do have the authority to censor certain things, but I don't believe that should ever be the responsibility of the government. I believe that should be the responsibility of the consumer. And then, you know, if you are an authority figure, you might discourage people from doing something, but I don't believe you should have any right in telling them they can't have access to it. Like, for instance, we often get video games that are banned in other countries. Like, I think Germany has laws against Nazi things. So when, like, Wolfenstein came out, they weren't allowed to sell that in Germany because the Nazi flags and stuff is against their expectations. I can understand where that comes from and why they would do that, but I also don't believe they should have the authority to prevent their people from accessing those things. That just doesn't really jive for me. It's literally imagery. That should be a decision that those people make independently, like on their own, whether or not that's appropriate. So I'm not a big fan of censorship. Let's get a different question. I feel weird talking about censorship. What's the most boring superhero you can come up with? Nope, that's a dumb one. What would be some of the downsides of certain superpowers? Okay, you like super stuff, huh? Downside of superpowers. Well, if you had super strength, you would, possibly murder people whenever you shook their hand or, hugged somebody. You would have to be very, very mindful of, your powers. Super speed. I mean, if you watch The Boys, that obviously has a downside in the very opening of that show, where somebody experiences a catastrophic thing with someone who has super speed. No spoilers, but it's pretty interesting. Pretty solid way to open your series. Very engaging. Get you interested right away. We're going to need, not the crucible, we need an anvil. Oh, that's going to require tons of metal. We're going to have to take apart some frames probably. But they changed it to where frames take a really, really long time to take apart. Man, we've passed like 4 days in the last like 45 minutes of playing. We're speeding up too much. Stuff is taking too long. Time is progressing too much. How much metal do I need for an anvil? Oh, you can just use frames. Okay, we'll just use frames. That works. We're gonna need charcoal. Oh, I should have set charcoal right away. We're gonna gather some wood. We need to get that charcoal kiln firing to get us some charcoal. Forgot all about that. Usually I set that as soon as I build the forge. I will start burning sticks and stuff to, you know what, furniture, the planks are probably more valuable than random stout branches or whatever. So let's just go to our neighbor's house and smash up some of their furniture. And we'll just take the wood here and haul it all together. Okay. And separate out everything that's not wood. So we'll take planks. Oh, my neighbor is whistling for his dog. Have I talked about how terrible my new neighbors are? I think I have. He likes to howl at his dog for no reason. And like, they're always over there making a lot of noise despite being planks. What am I looking for? Panels are the other ones. We'll take the wood panels and we'll take all this wood and we'll put this in our... Oh, can't haul through the window. Take all this wood, put it in our charcoal kiln. Very annoying neighbors. I'm a big on respect, when I meet people who don't seem to have respect or, do disrespectful things. Like literally the one night he was just howling in his yard for no reason. Like howling at his animal, at his dog. And it's like, what are you doing? You're in a neighborhood. It's like 10 p.m. What is wrong with you? It's not enough room. Probably the wood panels are too big. Put in as many planks as possible, I guess. And we'll start there. In the charcoal kiln. I mean, everything's going in. Oh, it was just the last panel couldn't fit. Okay, fire that kiln. Okay, get that burning. How do we see how much time is left? About 6 hours. Oh, we should call the episode. Well, we didn't get very much. I mean, we did get stuff done. We built a kiln. We built the charcoal, the forge. We built a crucible. I'm just getting concerned by how much time is passing. I'm worried that we're going to fall behind with monster evolutions and stuff. So I'm a little nervous about that, but we have made progress. We are moving forward. Pretty soon we'll have a steel spear, which is a pretty valuable tool. Why did I even make this forge? I wanted to do something with the vehicle that connected to the forge somehow, and I can't remember what it was. Hopefully it'll come to me later. Anyway, for now, I think that's going to do it. Everybody, thanks for watching. Hopefully you had a good time. Feel free to answer some of those questions in the description down below if you want to, or in the comments, excuse me. I always say description. Particularly the only one that I found all that interesting was the censorship question. And I don't really know how to talk about it. I have a weird relationship with censorship. I don't like reading graphic violence or sexual content. You know, I recently started reading a book about Columbine because it's a very sad part of human history. And I got into it, and it was very graphic descriptions about the murders. And I really thought it was going to be more about the students and the people who survived, and like, you know, how you live and, you know, how you handle something that's so traumatic. I thought it would be about the survivors, and it's actually about like the crimes specifically, where they're talking about really graphic descriptions of them killing teenagers. And I was like, I'm not reading this. You know, it turned me off so much I stopped reading the book. So I don't like graphic stuff. I don't like sexual content in my writing and stuff, but I would feel weird if people told me like, hey, we're banning this book because of, you know, sexual content or whatever. You're not allowed to read it. I would feel weird about that. That's a decision I should make myself. You know, I have a weird, I don't know. I don't know what people think. Let me know what you think about censorship. Anyway, that's going to do it for this one. Probably a little bit heavy of a topic, but that's going to do it. Thanks, everybody, for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. I'll be back with more Cataclysm content in the near future, and I, of course, will see you in the next episode.